from the Asian Community Development Council. This is Family in Focus, Mondays at 12 noon on PHLV Radio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Family in Focus here on PHLV Radio, brought to you by the Asian Community Development Council, or ACDC. We talk about issues and topics surrounding the API experience and beyond, of course, all our partners and friends who are out there supporting our community as well. And there's actually a great event that ACDC is partnering with that is coming up here on April 21st that we want to get the word out. So we invited two of the organizers to come join our show today. This event is called the DACA Renewal, Citizenship, and Resources Fair. Is going to be happening again April 21st, right on the campus of UNLV. So let's introduce our guest for this episode. We have Alyssa Cooley. She's our first guest on this show. She is the managing attorney of UNLV Immigration Clinic, and she's also the lead attorney for the Community Advocacy Office. Also, we have Maria Nieto Orta. She is the political director of Somos Votantes, and they're both working together very hard to get this event off the ground. So why don't I have Alyssa join us to talk a little bit about this? And Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. And I know this is the first time you're holding this event since the pandemic started, right? You haven't had this in-person event for a while. So this must be really exciting for you to be able to get together and provide this information out to the public.
Yes, definitely. And it's also especially exciting because the Community Advocacy Office just opened last month. So it will be our first event that we have planned since the opening of this new off-campus office.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because the DACA Renewal Citizenship Resources Fair has directly kind of what you do, because your office is tied to the UNLV Immigration Clinic, correct?
Yes, the Community Advocacy Office is not a separate office. We are just like a sub-office, an off-campus extension of the UNLV Immigration Clinic, which is located in the middle of UNLV's campus, inside the law school. And for our clients, we represent many people from the community. It's very difficult to find the law school or the legal clinic, especially if you aren't familiar with the university's campus. Sometimes even if you are familiar, it's difficult to find. So sometimes when a new client would come to our office, it would take them an hour to find our clinic.
Yeah. No, I teach at UNLV, so I know it can be confusing, even if I'm there every day.
Yes, and even with maps.
Right.
Navigating the parking, especially depending on what kind of event is happening at Thomas and Mack Center, it can be very difficult. So the idea behind this Community Advocacy Office, in addition to being able to help more members of our community, was to find a location in the community where we can be closer to the people whom we represent. And so far, it has been a little over 1 month since we officially opened, and we have found that it is much easier for our clients to find us.
And that's great, because this particular event that we want to talk about today, this is really kind of a cause that's close to your heart and what your office is doing. So talk to us a little bit about this. The DACA Renewal, Citizenship, and Resources Fair. What are you providing at this particular event, Alyssa?
Well, there's three parts for the DACA renewal, and it's not initial DACA applications, because unfortunately that's tied up with litigation out of Texas. But basically, since 2017, UNLV Immigration Clinic has provided free services to people who need to renew their DACA. And before the pandemic started, we had a lot of volunteers, and it was a pretty self-sustaining program. When the pandemic happened, that it kind of stalled the program, made it a little more difficult to navigate with volunteers, and obviously with assisting people in person, that basically stopped. And so now that the pandemic is better, I wouldn't say it's gone away, and things are more open, we are starting to provide that service again, but we had approximately 85 people on our wait list, with one attorney in our office dedicated to helping those people, in addition to her other clients who are UNLV and CSN students, faculty, staff, and their families. So we wanted to think of a way how we can make this program sustainable. It's still a service that is greatly needed. And so that's when we met with CSUN, UNLV student government, to come up with this idea to host a large scale event where we can get through our wait list and then also help everyone else in the community. Citizenship workshops or citizenship fairs where people can come and get if they're eligible for citizenship, have people assist them in filling out the forms and then have an attorney review them. That hadn't happened during the pandemic. Well, there have been smaller events, and some of them I know had been canceled because of COVID, unfortunately. So it's a service that has been needed for a while in the community. And now that we're, more than 2 years out with the pandemic and, there's an increase in those who are vaccinated, decrease in rate of infection and hospitalizations, we feel that it is safe to now have this large scale event and come together with all of our community partners like Somos Votantes and ACDC to host this much needed event. So at the event, to answer the other part of your question, we are going to assist people with renewing their DACA applications and also file for citizenship. And then the resources part of it, that's the third part, we have invited, let me double check the numbers, about 15 community organizations and other agencies to table at the event and to provide much needed resources to the community. For example, 3 Square will be tabling, Nevada Legal Services. All of our community partners will have a table. Somos Votantes, ACDC Plan, CSUN. We've invited the Office of New Americans, LACSN, Future Smiles, which provides free dental care to kids. The Southern Nevada Senior Law Program, Nevada Health Link, Arriba Las Vegas, just to name a few, who can table this event, meet people in the community, and provide resources and materials for the different types of programming that they have and different resources that they have available.
And like you said, obviously there's so many people taking part, including your office, Alyssa, and it's so great to see because, as you said, with the pandemic, that kind of left people without this face-to-face kind of event for so long. And I'll bring you back in just a bit, but let me get Maria in the conversation here. And Maria, I know you've been a big part of this too, and I know with ACDC being a partner because they've reached out. ACDC has helped, especially the API, Asian American community, with citizenship applications. So they are aware of this need as well. But tell me about your organization, Maria, and what you do and why this event is so crucial for your community.
Yeah, of course. So just a little bit of a background. I have been working in the nonprofit sector for about 4 years already. So really my work did start in putting these citizenship workshops together for the Latino community. So I definitely do see the importance of it. I was also very honored to participate in 2 DACA clinics when first-time applicants were being accepted. Like Alyssa said, unfortunately, that is not the case as of now, but I was also very honored to be part of that. I am a DACA recipient myself, so I have DACA, might even be renewing my DACA at the resource fair.
That's awesome.
So I do see the importance of that because these resources are where the community is at. And if we're meeting the community where they're at, with people that look like them, with people that understand them, with people that are willing to first and foremost put that help out there before anything else, then people are going to feel comfortable in disclosing their status and being like, yes, actually, I need the help. And I am more than happy that the community is starting to tie UNLV Immigration Clinic with a help to them. And that is like one of the biggest things, right? Like making sure that we're gapping that bridge and creating that path line to being like, next time you need help with your DACA, like either the UNLV Immigration Clinic can help you or they can direct you to people. And also, it's really important when people are having like criminal record, either for when they're applying for citizenship status or for their DACA renewal, at least they have attorneys there to talk to someone and to answer any of those legal questions. As otherwise, like they would probably just fill it out on their own, but we're providing those resources so they don't have to question whether what they're doing is correct or not.
Yeah. And, as a DACA recipient yourself, Maria, this is a personal, for you, kind of a mission to help, right? And tell me about that process, because it can be, especially people who maybe don't speak English as well as you, just kind of that language barrier can be tough for a lot of people seeking help and trying to get support for this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and that was something that Alyssa and I were talking about with the rest of the folks that have been helping plan the event. Like, this is a great opportunity for law students to practice their oh my God, I just forgot the word. Their interpretation skills.
Yeah.
Forgot about it. And that way, like, we're providing that resource for the community, like, come in the language that you feel most comfortable in. And there's going to be interpreters, right? And we want to make sure that we don't just have interpreters in Spanish for the Latino community, but we also have interpreters for the AAPI community as well.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And if people are not familiar, ACDC has really done this from the beginning. Citizenship application has been part of their mission. And what's great about this organization is they offer help in variety of languages, right? Vietnamese, Thai, Tagalog, to get them through this process, which can be really daunting for a lot of people. And Alyssa, with you being the managing attorney with the UNLV Immigration Clinic, you know the process, that this can be really kind of just for people to maybe even take a step forward. They don't even know what they need, right? And that's why they come to you for this kind of assistance.
Yes, and unfortunately, the way that USCIS handles these cases and the requirements that they have, any little mistake that someone makes in filling out their application can get it rejected and have the process stalled for months, if not years, and to the point where people almost get frustrated and just give up because it seems impossible. I mean, for example, if you sign your application in blue ink instead of black ink, it can get rejected. If you send it to the wrong address, that can get delayed and become a cog in the system where you're waiting on your receipts for several months and you don't even know what happened to your application. If just any little tiny mistake, the wrong color paper can get it rejected. So having an attorney who can look over your applications, make sure you checked all the right boxes, use the right color ink, can give people that peace of mind before they send out the application.
And especially when it comes to DACA renewal, I know there have been lots of talks about it. Have there been changes in legislation, things that people maybe don't know about? And if they're doing it by themselves or going through other process, that, it'd be beneficial for them to come at least ask some questions at this fair as well.
Well, and Maria hit on this a little bit when she was talking. With DACA renewals, if there hasn't really been a change in legislation, but there has been a change in what's considered to be a criminal record that could disqualify you from DACA. So any significant misdemeanor is the word, but basically it turns out that almost any misdemeanor is considered significant by USCIS these days. So it's important for people who maybe don't have a clear-cut application, one that doesn't raise any red flags, to be able to go to an attorney to just make sure that they should be filling out this application. Because if someone doesn't know and they fill it out and send it out and they have what is considered a significant misdemeanor, they could end up in removal proceedings. And so just to know that ahead of time, should I fill this out? Is it worth the risk, or should I just not renew my DACA to avoid removal proceedings? Like that is a conversation that they should definitely have with an attorney.
Right. So again, if you're just joining us here, we're talking with the organizers of DACA Renewal and Citizenship Resources Fair that's going to be happening April 21st from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. On the campus of UNLV. And Maria, you're with Somos Votantes, and you are going to be among the groups that are there representing. I know this is happening on the UNLV campus, but this is open for anybody in the community to come, correct?
Yes. So it is, like you said, it is being hosted at the UNLV Student Union Ballroom C. It's on the second floor. And like it is going to be open up to the community, and a couple days before, the day before, we're going to provide information as to where you can park. We're looking for volunteers to be able to guide people there, because as we mentioned, UNLV is such a big campus, easy to get lost in, and we want to make sure that folks that are looking for help are receiving the help that day.
And are you having, are you expecting quite a bit of people, especially this being an in-person event for the first time in a few years now, right? So you're probably preparing for quite a few people in the community to show up.
I mean, definitely the high hopes is always to have a great number of community members show up for help, especially because, like you mentioned, it is one of the very few events that are happening in person. And the reason, and Alyssa can talk a little bit more about it, but definitely for us, like a reason for it to have it in person is so that language barriers being broken in person first and foremost, but then also if they have any follow-up questions, they can just ask there instead of having to wait for a call back or an email. And that really like breaks down the barriers of older generation, specifically Latinos, who I usually work with the most. Is like older generation Latinos probably don't know how to send an email or leave a voice message, and at least having that in-person communication breaks that from having to happen.
Yeah, and to see so many community partners, Maria, come together, ACDC, Plan, UNLV Health, how does that feel to just, to get that support and knowing that this is such an important issue for so many people here?
It feels really nice, and I think I definitely want to highlight that this is a team effort. I mean, we just met in person last week, so everyone really is pulling their weight, and I think that that's what is going to make this event a great event. And hiccups happen all the time, but definitely when people work with us and work in partnership, that's when there's like very minimal hiccups. So I'm very excited to see this come into fruition next week.
And you're passionate about this, Maria, because this is your story. This is part of your journey too, right? And being able to tell the story, I think it's been is it pretty inspirational to you just to be able to be part of this and be able to tell your story as well?
Yeah, like I said, I started this work 4 years ago, and my work really started in building these citizenship clinics and building that gap between the community. And I can tell you one of my personal stories when I was helping someone to apply for their citizenship. They wouldn't stop calling me, which is always good, right? Like they wanted help. And one day I had a very busy day and they had called me. They actually came into the office with cookies because they were like, you haven't answered us, and I know you always answer us, so you're probably busy and you haven't ate. And so they brought cookies for me and the entire office. So like you're really building these relationships with community members, and they're very meaningful, right? Because like it's stuff that sometimes people don't seem possible. Like they're like, oh, people just don't really want to help, but then they meet people who are in it for the good cause, and they really build really nice relationships with you.
Oh, that's great. And Alyssa, I know you work right there on campus, and being part of this community, especially with UNLV, and having that as the place where people come, I think that's significant. That's meaningful too, right? Just because of where this event is located.
Yes, UNLV Immigration Clinic has kind of been, a pioneer in representing vulnerable populations here in the Las Vegas community. The Community Advocacy Office is the first law firm, the first nonprofit firm dedicated to representing people in removal proceedings. And so to me, I feel honored and privileged to be a part of the work that the Community Advocacy Office and UNLV Immigration Clinic is doing. And it would not have been possible without community partners like Maria and Somos Votantes and the other organizations that we're partnering with to host this event. I'm proud that UNLV is, that UNLV cares about this kind of work and cares about the community and reaching community members. And so, yes, I'm very, very proud and happy to be a part of this event.
And some people who may be just hearing about this and wanting to join, do you want to clarify maybe what they need to bring with them? Is it going to be free of charge? Do they need to, what do they need to know before coming to this fair?
Absolutely. And so we have a couple of flyers in English and Spanish, and I believe ACDC is in the process of translating it into the other languages as well.
Right.
It is completely free. Even the community organizations who are tabling, they don't need to pay for anything. It's completely free. The only thing that people need to do in advance, we ask just to minimize long wait times, because we don't want community members to have to wait a long time. We know that everyone's busy. They need to go to work. They need to pick up kids from school. They need to go to school themselves. We're asking for everyone to RSVP, and the link is on our flyer. Especially if they would like application assistance and review. We have a link we have a website through Eventbrite where people can register, and then after they register, someone from our office will contact them to start the process of getting all the information required for the forms in advance. That way, when they come to their appointment on the day of the event, the forms are already filled out. They just sit with an attorney to review it. We sign off, make copies for them, and put it in an envelope. All they have to do is attach their filing fee and go to the post office across the street, and now their application's filed.
Wow.
So all they need to do is RSVP and make sure that they provide their information in advance.
And I'm sure there's just this urgency there too, because, with the pandemic, we've heard of, such long wait times for so many documents and so many things going through the government. And this is one where you want to make this process as easy as possible, because it could take a while for these things to go through.
Yes. DACA renewals, fortunately, USCIS has been processing them fairly quickly. Not in every case. There are the occasional outliers, but our office has seen that from filing to approval and receipt of the work permit, 1 month, maybe 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But for citizenship, that process, unfortunately, has been taking a long time. Applications filed in 2020, we are now getting interview notices. So almost, a year and a half wait for some people. USCIS has been sued over the long wait times, especially for work permits. So hopefully the processing times will speed up and the people who have pending citizenship applications can get theirs approved soon.
Yeah, and that's the goal of this program, and getting you both on here, is to get the word out to as many communities as possible, including the Asian American, the API community, who ACDC has been working to reach, especially, for both DACA renewal and citizenship application. Maria, I know you really, target the Hispanic, Latino, Latinx community. What's been the biggest challenges for you, especially now that, you want to get help to as many people as possible, but are there still barriers and challenges that your organization has seen when it comes to this process?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, we were like, we cannot stop these workshops, so let's try to do them online. And then it was that barrier of having to teach our older generation Latinos how to work Zoom, how to check their email. And it was more processes, but still of course, having to do them. As things started slowing down, we started doing hybrid workshops. We're like, okay, let's do hybrid for DACA renewals for the younger folks that know how to work Zoom, that know how to do this, answer emails and answer text messages. And then we'll do an in-person aspect for citizenship. And that started working out, right? And now, definitely having, again, those in-person events, really has been helping the community. And when we've been noticing that there's, a long wait, if there's a lot of people signed up for an event, or even, when we've had resource fairs, we just had a Cesar Chavez resource fair not too long ago, we have free food, right? If you're going to be there and getting these resources, we want to make sure that there's food, that there's a lot of Latina moms don't come out to events because they're getting out of work, they go to the event and then have to go home again and cook. But as long as we have the food, they're okay, that's one less thing that I have to do and worry about, and I can still get these resources, still get the help, and my family still eats.
Yeah, food brings people out, no matter if you're Asian, Latino, white, whoever, food brings out the people. And we want to get as many people out to this DACA renewal and citizenship resources fair as possible. Again, as we're going to put the poster up here, it's happening Thursday, April 21st, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at UNLV Student Union Ballroom C on the second floor. Of course, that's right on the main campus, 4505 South Maryland Parkway, Las Vegas. And we're going to put up the information for people to RSVP as well, because as Alyssa was saying earlier, register RSVP so you can get that process done. And Alyssa, having groups like Maria's group, Somos Votantes, having ACDC be part of this, I think that's kind of speaks to that we need this, right? We need a community partnership to address, this topic, because this is something that's not going to be, this is something that people need year round.
Yes, and we need to partner with various community organizations so we can make sure that word of the event gets out to the community who needs it. We need to do things like this, being on your show, to reach the community, because you can't always get in touch with them through a flyer on your social media. You know, you need to go out into the community, and especially for, like Maria was talking about, older generations. We're not on social media. You need to have these radio programs. Everything happens via word of mouth.
Right.
So I think partnering with the various organizations to make sure that we reach all corners of the community is really important.
Yeah, and that's what we plan to do here. And thank you so much for both of you for taking the time to share this with us and for working so hard to make this a successful event. Again, this is happening on April 21st. We hope to see as many of you out there. Alyssa and Maria, thank you so much for all you do for the community and for getting the word out. And we'll see you out there on Thursday, April 21st. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching this episode of Family in Focus. And we'll see you again next week.